Hello, I'm the Dark Master, and welcome back to the Dark Lair for my third independent video. I wanted to make a video defending Steve McRae, a skeptical proponent of logic, who has had a lot of lies spouted about him. Now, there have been many videos made about him, and there shall undoubtedly be a second video I intend to make. For today, I shall be responding to just a singular video by the totally unbiased progressive liberal. I watched the video, and it's filled with logical fallacies and no evidence for his claims. Now let's go through this video. Also, to all you dumb morons who will claim that I am cutting this guy off, I'm not. I've watched this whole video before responding, and I hopefully will provide enough context, though you people think that response videos are inherently dishonest. I'm looking at you, Patricia Taxon, you fucking dumbass. Anyway, let us start.
If you don't know who this man is, I will give you a quick recap. His name is Steve McRae, and Steve McRae has lately been defending this man, Earl David Warden.
Yes, I'm sure your 3-minute video will be an in-depth and detailed discussion about Steve McRae. Also, you provide no evidence that Steve defended Earl David Warden. You do know that getting a screenshot is extraordinarily easy. Even the idiots at the Underhaven Discord can get that right. The rest of this video, by the way, is focused on Lawrence Krauss. You seem to be trying to use the evidence for Lawrence Krauss to support your claim against Earl David Warden, but that doesn't quite fly. You have to provide evidence for each individual person you're accusing. Now, this evidence is pretty weak, but we'll get to that. Also, the connection to Steve McRae is even weaker, but again, we'll get to that.
Who is a convicted sex offender. Steve hasn't just been defending him. Steve has been saying things like, the woman that Warden raped actually consented. Steve has been saying that he has secret evidence that proves this, but he's unwilling to show it to anyone.
This is a pretty big claim. Shame that you don't provide any video clips or screenshots of tweets. Seriously, if you're going to make such a claim, especially in the year and age of the Me Too witch hunt movement, at the very fucking least you can give some actual evidence. I mean, I guess you could just make the claim and not provide evidence, but it does make you look like a pretty bad person. Bad as in dishonest, not morally bad. Though one could make the argument that it's also morally bad to lie, but, you know, just thought I'd add that in at the end.
To anyone. This isn't the first time that Steve has done something like this. If you're new here, subscribe, hit the bell, check out the links to Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee and Discord in the links below, and I hope you stick around for the whole video. This is going to be a doozy.
So the video has finally started about 28 seconds in. Notice, this intro serves as a dishonest shift from Earl David Warden to Lawrence Krauss. You might not notice this unless I point it out, and you will see more in this next clip that I'm about to provide. However, it really says something that he still hasn't justified his first claim, as instead relying on a second claim that's going to come in the next clip to justify this claim.
This whole ordeal with Steve defending Earl David Warden might be surprising for some, but it wasn't for me. Because, you see, before, Steve has defended this man, Lawrence Krauss.
This shift is intentional, as he only has flimsy evidence for the Lawrence Krauss relationship, as opposed to Warden, who I'll just let you in on something, doesn't provide evidence for the remainder of this video. This is a textbook substitution fallacy, and you know it. Now let's look at these evidence he allegedly provides and see if they really stand up. I'll play it all, then dispute it.
Who is Lawrence Krauss? In 2019, BuzzFeed News published the following story. was an examination of prominent scientists who had taken money from Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein's 2008 conviction for soliciting a minor for prostitution. Krauss, a theoretical physicist and science popularizer, defended Epstein as the financier tried to restore his reputation after his release from jail. "I don't feel tarnished in any way by my relationship with Jeffrey. I feel raised by it," Krauss told the Daily Beast in 2011. Krauss had earlier organized a 2006 conference on gravity on Epstein's private island in the US Virgin Islands, attended by physics luminaries including the late Stephen Hawking. After Epstein's release, Krauss took his money to bankroll the Origins Project at Arizona State University, which organized meetings featuring leading scientists, intellectuals, and celebrities. It was shut down in 2018 in the aftermath of reporting by BuzzFeed News on Krauss's own history of sexual harassment. Krauss has denied any misconduct. Krauss's project received at least $250,000 from Epstein's foundation, Enhanced Education, with the last payment dated April 2017, according to accounts obtained by BuzzFeed News under a public records request.
Now, this on the surface appears to be damning evidence, but let's look a little deeper. Firstly, this was reported by BuzzFeed, which casts a far-left shadow over the whole article. But since I'm a nice guy, I'll just ignore that for now. Progressive liberal claims that because Epstein was connected to many scientists, including Krauss, this makes Lawrence Krauss guilty, and by thus extension, Steve McRae. Now, it must be stated, many horrible people have donated to the sciences. For example, the National Socialist Party of Germany made large donations to the Berlin Museum, leading to Uschar Schabel naming a species of cave beetle after Adolf Hitler, Aphelomimus hitleri, in 1937. Should we condemn the entire Berlin Museum and its current staff, as well as the scientists? I think not, especially considering that this species is currently endangered, and many of the progress made by the Berlin Museum and sciences have been used in the future. This argument is pure guilt by association, especially to extend it to Steve McRae, who, as far as I can tell, has had no direct relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Second, you take issue with Lawrence Krauss saying, "I don't feel tarnished in any way by my relationship with Jeffrey. I feel raised by it." Now, I'll admit, the last bit sounds a bit odd, but the first part is fully understandable. He shouldn't feel guilty after being indirectly related to some bad people. That's fucking absurd. This is a literal witch hunt, and you know it. And especially to extend it to Steve McRae. Thirdly, you use an article that states Krauss himself has a history of sexual harassment. But the article by BuzzFeed cites BuzzFeed. This is a circular citation, a very dishonest tactic. It is the secular equivalent of someone saying the Quran is correct because the Quran says so. This circular citation is not valid and it doesn't work.
Now, for those of you who watched the Non Sequitur show, you know that Lawrence Krauss was a guest, and that Steve McRae was very happy to have Lawrence Krauss on, and that he was very vocal in defending Lawrence Krauss. And he would shout down those of us who pointed out that Lawrence Krauss had been accused of sexual misconduct.
Well, firstly, how was Steve McRae in February 22nd of 2019, when that video was uploaded, supposed to know about an article written by Peter Aldovers for BuzzFeed on August 26th, 2019? Is he a time-traveling Time Lord? I don't think so. So I think him shouting you down was justified, especially at the time. Not that he really did shout you down. I watched that live stream. He wasn't particularly any more aggressive than he normally is, which you could argue is a bad thing, but whatever. People have different personalities, and you can't tame them all to fit your worldview.
So I wasn't surprised to hear that Steve McRae defended Earl David Warden.
Oh, okay, so you had confirmation bias. Okay, and the fuck does that mean? This appears to be a classic case of apophenia, also known as pareidolia, or the tendency for incorrect perception of a pattern that isn't really there.
So here's what I will do going forward. Number one, if you are still willing to defend this man, I don't want to associate with you. Unsubscribe, block me, dislike the video. That's fine. I don't want to be around you if you think that this guy is okay.
Okay, so listen, I never subscribed to you in the first place. You're just another generic bread tuber I have no interest in. To all 78 subscribers of mine, please don't give this man a dislike bomb. He doesn't deserve that honor, and I'm only interested in truth and an open dialogue. If you want to have one, then be my guest. Make a response video. Refute these claims. Fine, I'm open. I am open-minded. I just hope you are open-minded as well.
Number two, if you are finally willing to admit that the cult of personality around this man is dangerous and leads to defending things that are immoral and illogical, and you are willing to denounce him, I am here to listen and help you through this. I'm so sorry, that's the wrong...
Okay, like, at this point, this is fucking inane. What does Trump have to do with any of this shit? As far as I can tell, Steve is not a Trump supporter, and I'm not entirely sure if the other two men are either. Like, I have consistently voted third party for my entire life. There just seems to be another bitter, easy jab at a group of people unable to learn why they lost in the fucking first place. You made Trump. Stop blaming everyone else for your own fuck-up. Maybe don't elect someone as unelectable as Hillary Clinton for your deals.
Picture. Number two, if you are finally willing to admit that the cult of personality around this man is dangerous and leads to defending things that are immoral and illogical, and you are willing to denounce him, I am here to listen and help you through this. Thanks for watching.
So that's that. Just the blind repetition of a joke that wasn't funny the first time. I don't need or want your help. I'd like feedback, but I know you delete comments and you probably won't really make a response video to this. You're kind of like Steve Shives in that you cowered away from feedback. But I think you have more potential than Steve Shives. You haven't... He's like, I am very optimistic in people. I trust people a lot, and sometimes that's a bad thing, but hey, it's a good virtue to have. I trust that you as a progressive liberal will have an open mind, open enough to perform a dialogue. So, that's it. Here's what you've done so far, man. You opened the video with Earl David Warden and claimed Steve McRae supports him while providing no evidence whatsoever. Then you shifted to Krauss and gave flimsy evidence ignoring time differences. Many people have assured me that this is the best of the Steve McRae exposed videos. And I would say that is true. Most of the others are Brett Keane, as well as people with even worse audio. But that's not really saying much. The competition is just really not there. So, yeah, I'll give you this. He is the best, but that's not saying much. I'm the Dark Master. Hope you enjoyed this video. There won't be another one for a while, though. And this kind of drama does tire me a lot.